Hey everybody, today on the camera department / the post house, we're like a split 7-inch.
That's what she said.
Yeah, of course. Remember those vinyls? No? You kids don't know? Anyway, we're looking at some EVA 1 footage shot with 240 frames a second, VFR. Jeff's gonna color grade it, and we've got some issues with it. All right, so like we were saying in the intro, today we're gonna look at some EVA 1 footage. People comment on how much I wave my hands. I'm like Chris Farley in a van down by the river. I can't help it, I move my hands a lot. What do you want me to do? I talk with my hands. I'm a wavily arm guy. Buy a car, new used cars. Anyway, today on this episode, we're gonna look at some EVA 1 footage. Jeff has been grading it from our friend Brain at Brain Vision Productions. The original post is up there as well. I'll put a link to his channel so you can check it out. He has an EVA 1. He sent us the footage. We wanted to take it, and Jeff found out some pretty crazy stuff. Maybe some problems. All right, so we're going to take a look at some EVA 1 footage shot 240 frames a second in the VFR setting. It is a 2K file, is that correct?
2K file.
2K file. We're going to take a look at some of the EVA 1 footage.
H264.
All right, but this is supposedly straight from camera, again from our friend at Brain Vision Productions. You can see the original link. I'll make sure to post it in the show notes. Anyway, so let's take a look at the footage. Is there anything you want to talk about before going into it or anything?
H264 2K, 23976, variable frame rate, 240.
Okay, there it is. So we're going to take a look at the raw image. So what you're about to see is going to be the raw footage.
That we were delivered.
That we were delivered, basically. And let me preface this and say, we're kind of viewing this as both a DP and a colorist and editors, essentially, as if we were giving the back end of this footage to approach, or if this were a camera test, how I would look at it. So we're kind of looking at the footage from a very broad perspective. I'm not going to critique the shooter. I think that's unfair because everyone has a different way. Though, based on the scopes, he is 100% legal on everything that he shot. The sky is not blown out. In fact, it looks like it was an overcast sky.
Yep.
There is no clipping. He's not over 100 IRE. I can see it on the scopes. It's very happy-pappy. So let's look at the raw image and go from there.
Yeah. So the first one that's up now.
Yep.
Raw image. Still kind of reminds me of a guy in corn.
Does look like someone from corn.
But the first thing for me, the black windows, the noise.
Yeah. There's definitely a noise pattern to it.
And then you see it in the shadows and the skin, stuff like that.
Right.
That's big first off.
Yeah. I mean, the noise is an issue. The overall image isn't unpleasing. It's not like, obviously, the best looking image I've ever seen as far as location or whatever. But if this were a necessity for your picture or your story, then I guess it's not so bad.
No, and honestly, it's not a terrible one because you have whites, you have blacks, you have saturation in this T-shirt, you have greens in the background.
Yeah.
Got skin tone.
Yep, do have a skin tone.
So
the other thing that Jeff did is he went through and did some grading, and I'll let Jeff kind of talk about those. We got 4 different little clips.
Yeah, we have 4 versions.
It's a longer take, and we'll probably play one of them in full, but it's a long clip because it's 240. But let's look at what you got next.
All right, so the next one is just taking it and saturating it.
Okay, so this is just saturation.
Just pulling saturations up.
Which already the skin tone is holding up really well. So let me also throw one more thing. Is we have a big monitor behind us, which is a consumer grade HDR monitor. And then we also have a Flanders Scientific on this side, which is a professional grading monitor. And we're kind of looking at the two. Obviously the Flanders looks like night and day amazing, but it's nice to see it on a consumer grade and then, a professional calibrated gimmick. But even like the roll off between light and dark, you see how he's going in and out of the shadow. There must be an overhang or something there. Doesn't look bad.
No, not at all.
Skin tone's holding up pretty good.
Little mushy to me in the highlight sections of the skin.
Yeah, there is a little bit of detail loss there for sure.
It kind of loses it a little bit. But overall, I think it's pretty decent. And the sky turns a little bluish color. The greens pop out really nice.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like decent dock footage. If I were watching this, I wouldn't be upset by it.
No. Shirt comes out
But that's a very simple rawness to it. I mean, there's little tweaks that I would like to make in it. But for a raw, almost just saturated, that's all you did to it? All right.
Well, for me, part of it would be trying to take the sky a little bluer.
Right.
Would be one of them. So here's when you try to take the sky a little bit bluer.
Holy banding Batman.
Yes.
So immediately from the get-go, if you look directly above his head, I can see it on the Flanders. It's more subtle, but on the bigger monitor, there is just some nasty banding.
The roof of the truck.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
His head.
Wow.
Above the palm trees, actually, is a really big one, too.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
that is
it's
a lot
everywhere.
of banding. That's a ton of banding.
Yeah, banding is everywhere.
Like this isn't. We're not overdoing it. I mean, that's seriously a lot of banding.
Yeah, and
That's more than I remember seeing out of like a GH5
Yeah,
on their VFR mode.
And then the reds and blue, or the red and green levels stay the same, and all I did was move the blues up slightly.
Right.
Still not clipping anywhere.
Right.
And banding just came
flagpole.
rolling in
Look at
really
the
fast.
flagpole.
Right at that flagpole, there's a line going all the way
is
across it. It's up there. The big spot is right here still on the roof.
Yeah.
It kind of turns to purple with the banding as well on the roof of the car.
Sorry, I was leaning in to look at the flanders just to make sure it wasn't this monitor, but no, it's very much in the flanders as well. You can actually see it somewhat in the waveform. You can see it kind of jiggling about a little bit.
Yep.
Wow.
So the banding was a big issue.
Yep.
So the next thing that I tried to do was...
And by the way, he just barely lifted that. That's
Barely
not a lot
lifted.
yeah. Okay.
I would say the blues are... Let's see here. It's less than probably 5 IRE that the blues are lifting.
Right. And it just introduced a ton of banding.
Yeah. So what I tried to do was see if there's a way to hide the banding.
Oh, by elevating?
As if this clip was given to me for a color job and I had no choice but to use it. So I elevated the highlights to try and blow them out a little bit. And,
well, the flagpole's gone. Most of the clouds
Yeah.
are gone. Yeah.
But then the roof of the car stays
Yeah, it sure does.
once he moves out.
And there's
big
some
time.
chromatic aberration I didn't notice before.
Aberrations, and then now,
Which is not camera based, that's lens based, guys.
Now it is the shadows under the rear view or the side view mirror,
Oh, yeah.
and the shadows over by the turn signal, which his hair just got away for us, but it's going out right now.
Sure is.
Bam.
Wow.
A ton of banding.
Yeah.
And it's over in every monitor.
Now, that's some pretty hardcore pixel peeping, except the first time I'm seeing some of this for the very first time. Like, I've seen one of the shots, the raw shot, obviously, but the pushed graded one that introduced all that banding, I hadn't seen that yet. And so that's a crazy amount of banding.
For such a slided.
Yeah, and
slided
not bashing the camera, just evaluating it from if this were given to me, given to Jeff, how we would deal with it. Just looking at it as a very raw standpoint. This is somebody else's footage. Though, as we've said, it's been shot technically correct.
Yeah, it's been shot very well.
I mean, it falls in line with everything it needs to be.
It's a good little test.
I think he was on profile 1, he told us, so it's not log or anything.
Yeah, that's one of the differences with it. So the other choice that I had to try and fix this was something most people here have never seen me do, is more of a Instagram-ish that doesn't want to
Hideous.
play.
No, hate it.
Pull the blacks up, move them slightly towards blue, move the highlights down, move it towards red.
The
I moved
contrast
the reds
is pulled
towards
down.
on the highlights, mostly for the fact that the blue in the top was where it seemed to be banding the most.
Yeah,
So I crushed the highlights down and then move it towards red.
right.
There's a strategy for this for the people that think that this is just a weird look. And then the blacks I try to move more towards blue because all of the banding that was down in that area looked like it was a little bit more towards the yellow-red side.
Yeah, I mean, there's still
So I'm
some in
trying
the
to basically
turn
flatten it
signal.
out.
Yeah. There's some in the turn signal, but it's nowhere near as bad as it was.
No, it's not.
I mean, if I had to eat this, I would, especially like if this were Extreme Sports or some other like branded content video. But from a commercial or narrative standpoint, this wouldn't work.
Yeah,
for
it doesn't
me.
work for me either.
But
I would fight against it.
yeah, so that's pretty fascinating, though.
Honestly, would fight to reshoot
Yeah,
this.
yeah. If we had to.
Yeah, like you said,
But
Brian
eatable-
did a great job.
Yeah, I could eat it if
Exposing
I
it.
had to. I would totally eat it. You would reshoot. I would eat it and just figure out how to stylize it some way or shape or form. Or not use this edit unless this was a crucial edit. I mean, sometimes you get to that spot, it's a crucial shot.
Or if you were in there and this is the camera test,
yeah,
you look at other cameras for a variable frame rate.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's what we often do is we, being Red owners, in addition to GH5 and some other cameras, we will often switch, and sometimes we've used the Red just for our high-speed work, our Epic Dragon. We'll use it for high-speed work, knowing that it's going to end up matching an Ursa or an Alexa or anything else, just because that's what it's there for in some cases. We could shoot the whole thing on Red, but we might have a stylistic reason. So, and that goes back
Yeah.
into the noise side. I don't mind the noise of a camera. All cameras have distinct noise. Red has noise. Dragon has noise.
Alexa has noise.
Alexa, everything has a different noise pattern. And typically, it doesn't bother me. And this one's not terrible.
No,
but
it's not.
I would actually fight to reduce the noise pattern. Now, that doesn't fix the banding issue, but the general noise, I would probably clean it up a bit.
Me too.
The GH5 has a noise that sometimes is great, sometimes isn't. Sometimes it's just terrible.
Officially decided.
And your mouse is dead.
Be poop on me.
That's probably a good way to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's kind of our take on it. Do you have any other thoughts on the EVA 1 240 stuff?
I think it bands a lot to try and play around with it. I'd like to see it in vlog if it's possible. Also, would like to see... That's weird. We just had a power spike.
Yeah.
That transfer screwed up.
Maybe that hopefully didn't ruin the drive.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, anyways, I would like to see variable frame rate shot at 40, 48, 60, 120. See if the banding is an issue of how far it's being pushed.
Right. 240 is a little bit extreme.
Yeah, it's an extreme.
I barely ever used... I don't think I barely use 120.
Yeah.
I think I use 90. I use a lot of 48, though.
Yeah, 48 is the easy thing to do, commercial-wise for us. I'm the same way.
Yep.
I'd also like to see 240 in all of those done on a Shogun and 10-bit.
Yeah, good, great.
So that we can see 10-bit versus 8-bit.
Yep.
But yeah, and overall, the banding to me is an issue.
The banding's an issue. The other footage we've seen, if you post a link up here for you to look at, the other footage we've seen that Jeff graded looked fantastic. It was all shot and was transferred over to us via ProRes 422HQ, but it was on a Shogun. So it was 10-bit footage, and it looks amazing. 1080. It was also 1080 footage, and it looked amazing. And Jeff had a really great time grading it. We kind of showed it, but again, you can click on that link and check it out. I would take away that the camera thus far for the frame rate thing. I wouldn't. It's there if you need it, but I wouldn't make it a benchmark of my camera, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say, oh my God, it's just like a tool that it happens to have. If I was really doing crucial high-speed work, I would absolutely get a Phantom or a Red or something else. It's a little bit more equipped to handle that kind of workflow. So we're going to get our hands on it, and we're going to do some comparative tests. We love that stuff.
Yep.
So we'll do a versus test. We may just bring up a bunch of cameras and do an epic versus mode, but just to kind of go through the footage. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. Come hang out with us, and don't forget to like the video. Give us some comments. Tell us what you want to see. We'll be around. Is there anything else?
No, pretty good. It's Friday.
Pickles, beer time. We're out.